Hello, ninth graders, and welcome to our new lesson. Today I'm starting a new unit, sports, and it's in your brevet curriculum. Okay, let's begin the unit by asking some questions. List 4 reasons why sports are so important. Okay, first of all, they promote good health. 2, they help people focus more, and if you are an athlete or people who are athletes, they tell you that after they practice their morning run or their morning routines of sports, they feel so much better during the day. They are able to concentrate and focus, whether it's at work or at school. Third, it's important because it builds determination and perseverance. If you learn to walk that mile every day or run that mile every day or practice sports for 30 minutes in the gym, you have a certain discipline within your personality. You become a more determined person, a more focused person. Finally, and another very important reason why people practice sports is that it's a great source of entertainment. Kids gather every day in the afternoons to play a match among themselves. They make a running race among themselves. They play racquetball on the beach. They toss the ball to each other. They bat. Whatever it is they do, it is a great source of entertainment, and it makes a person feel so much better afterwards. Now, what kinds of values do sports promote after having said all that? Sports promote a lot of good values, mainly teamwork. When you're playing sports that have to be divided into teams like football, the players have to pass the ball to each other. They have to work with each other in order to win the game, or else it's a lost game. So this value is highly promoted. Determination, again, you have to fight in order to win, to persevere, to keep on going. In order to finish that very long marathon, you have to have that determination. You have to have practiced for months and months. And another very important value in sports is good sportsmanship. When you play sports against someone or your team plays against another team, you need to have the value of good sportsmanship. You walk into that game knowing that you are either going to win or you are going to lose. And if you lose, you need to have good sportsmanship, or else the game loses its important value. If we're going to win all the time, it's meaningless. We will no longer enjoy it. So we need to practice good sportsmanship. Not every time we lose, we need to go into a fight and a brawl and stop talking to members of the other team, etc. Number 4, respect. You learn to respect each other as teammates, and you learn to respect your opponents. Okay? And tolerance. You tolerate losing. You tolerate others. You shake their hands before a game, and you shake their hands after a game, whether it's tennis or soccer or basketball or whatever. You need to shake hands. You need to say, you know what, we lost, but we tolerated. We lost to you, but we tolerate you and we respect you. So those are very important values that sports promote. However, some of those values, especially in today's game, are at risk because there is so much focus nowadays on winning. Okay, now what sports are most popular in Lebanon today? We all know that it's mostly football. It's played everywhere on every available patch of land. You see kids and grown-ups tossing the ball to each other, making goals, and now there's this huge increase in those mini mini soccer fields everywhere. Everybody's practicing it. And we are also great fans of watching football. We all like to watch Real Madrid versus Barcelona or Juventus versus Manchester United. We love all those teams, so it's extremely popular in Lebanon. Another popular sport in Lebanon, but to a much lesser extent than football, is basketball. We have our own good teams in Lebanon. Several of them even have won the Asian Cup several times. So another popular game. Now, what is meant by violence in sports? Give examples. As I told you, those values, the important values we mentioned in sports are being blurred nowadays because of so much focus on winning. Everybody goes in there wanting to win at any price, okay? So what is meant by violence in sports? It is of two kinds. First, violence within the players in the field, and violence among the crowd of spectators who support different teams. We see this a lot in football in the major games, where they start shouting at each other and singing very offending songs. Some brawls or fights among players in the field can result in injury. Of course, some of them will punch each other or shove each other violently. Moreover, they could harm the important value of good sportsmanship. This is the value that is mostly at risk because of sports violence. Okay? Also, in crowds, some racist slurs, this is very common, and foul insults are sung out loud to supporters of the team. So this provokes them, either from this side or from that side. When they're provoked, what happens? Huge physical fights break out, which have at many times caused both deaths and injuries during matches. There's a match in the Champions League that took place in 1985 between the team of Juventus and the team of Liverpool. This is one of the most famous violent outbreaks in football, and many people died. The match was played in Brussels. It was really very tragic, and as a result of that, Liverpool and the English teams had to be banned from playing soccer in the UEFA League for many years. Okay, so it is a dangerous phenomena, but it is still unfortunately prevalent, and in some places it is on the rise. Take a look at those pictures, all real life pictures which took place not long ago. Look at this. This is within the field here, within the basketball field. This is within the crowd, and sometimes the violence takes place even outside. Someone winning or losing, the violence is taken outside. Look at this, cars burning. We've seen this in several World Cups. Okay, violent supporters, also called hooligans, okay, the English supporters mainly, okay, they just take it outside, burning, vandalizing, going on, violent sprees all over the place where they are in. Look at this. Okay, look at these, also thrown at different crowds. Look at this player, okay, hitting the coach of the other team with a chair. He could hurt him. He could seriously hurt him. But it is widely practiced nowadays, unfortunately. Moving on. Let's begin reading our selection, Violence in Sports. Please listen carefully. Read the following passage to find out the reasons behind violence in sports and its harmful effects. What changes should be implemented to challenge this phenomena? So obviously the selection is going to talk about the reasons behind the violence and what needs to be done as a result. Paragraph 1. A glance at selected headlines from the popular newspapers and magazines shows the extent to which aggression is a dominant feature of modern sports. Take a look at some of the headlines. Ball games or brawl games. We know that brawls are fights. But Grant wants end to violence. Blood, sweat, and fears. Are the refs stopping good fights too soon? This, of course, this headline here is being a little sarcastic. Hockey, basketball, football, soccer, rugby, boxing, and wrestling, among others, all have rules and penalty systems to control excessive violence, but winning in each sport depends somewhat on physical bullying and the causing of pain. Winning has become an essential part of sport, and increased professionalism produces an atmosphere of winning at all costs. What do we mean by professionalism here? Why do players like Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Pogba, why do they play sports? Or why are they in their respective teams? They get paid money. They get paid big sums of money to become professionals and to win, okay? So there's a lot of focus on winning. The traditional causes, this is today's game. We play as professionals. We no longer play for fun. I mean, those professional players who get paid millions and millions of euros and dollars. However, traditionally, why did people used to play games or play sports? Fun, fair play, you know, you play as a team, you play with each other. Those have decreased. Research as early as 1989 has shown that when athletes focus too much on beating others and not on personal improvement and their own performance, they are more likely to use cheating and see intentionally harmful acts as more acceptable. Okay, I'm so focused on winning that I would shove my opponent. Okay, because there's this stress on winning in all costs. Paragraph 3. Unfortunately, some coaches and athletes take this situation to the extreme and suggest that the use of aggression is necessary in order to win. Although there is some proof that aggression can lead to winning, the human and financial cost associated with injuries that often accompany aggressive acts challenge such short-term gains. Moreover, when an athlete is frustrated and focused on causing harm to others, he or she is not concentrating on the task at hand and thus cannot perform well. The excess excitement that usually is coupled with frustration should also result in weak performance. Of course, the athlete wouldn't be focused on the game but focused on only violence. Paragraph 4. Coaches should be made aware of the potential damage of aggression in sport, not only for their team and the player at hand, but for society as a whole. At each competitive level and for every sport, a fair play code of conduct. Fair play, we see this a lot before major football games. They come in with the fair play flag. Fair play means practicing good sportsmanship, being fair to the other team. You don't have to shove him and beat him up and, you know, fouling the attacker of the other team because you know he is the one who gets the goals. This is not fair play. This is foul play. Okay, so we need to practice fair play. It's a code of conduct, code of behavior, and it should be made compulsory. Compulsory, you have to do it. A compulsory element in established and enforced guidelines for coaches. Paragraph 5, the media is another element in this, must become more responsible in its reporting of sport. There is no need to repeat examples of violence and aggression in sport. The indifference of the media to an athlete's morals on the field is threatening the very existence of proper sportsmanship in the world today. The focus should be on the skills shown and strategies used by athletes and coaches rather than on acts of aggression. There are many sensitive and humane athletes and coaches who are involved in sports at all levels. Attempts should be made to present these individuals in a favorable light and give them media coverage. So what the author is saying here is that the media is covering sports too much. It's focusing on it and in a way promoting it. And it shouldn't. It should promote the well-behaved coaches and the well-behaved players. Finally, paragraph 6, behavior that inflicts harm upon another, either physical or psychological, and has no direct relationship to the competitive goals of sport is unacceptable. It does not matter if it is called hostile or helpful. If these intentionally harmful acts lead to injuries that go beyond the competitive event per se, then such behavior should be considered wrong as well. In contrast, assertive behavior that falls within the rules should be considered part of sports. Okay? The referee should be assertive. The coach should be assertive, meaning have a certain authority, but not violence. Assertion is different from violence. Okay? So this is it. Let's move on to our comprehension questions, which are usually part A. Number 1, I will go through those one by one. Number 1, what is the main idea of the passage? We will answer that together. Number 2, based on paragraph 2, identify 3 traditional reasons for practicing sports. Number 3, specify 2 steps that the author recommends in paragraphs 4 and 5 to challenge violence in sports. Number 4, what does the expression winning at all costs in paragraph 2 mean? 5, provide an example of assertive behavior that falls within the rules. We already spoke about that. We will speak about it a little more. Let's begin with number 1. What is the main idea of the passage? Okay. What is the passage mainly talking about? The text, or if you want, the main idea of the passage, discusses violence in sports and its main causes, extreme stress on winning, coach attitudes, and the media, or the media coverage, full stop. That's all I wanted. Okay? Now, question number 2. Based on paragraph 2 and 2, identify 3 traditional reasons for practicing sports. I displayed the paragraph for you here. Let's go through it together. Winning has become an essential part of sports, and increased professionalism produces an atmosphere of winning at all costs. However, the traditional causes of practicing sports, such as fun and fair play, appear to have decreased. Research has shown that athletes focus too much on beating others and not on personal improvement and their own performance. Those are all traditional. Fun and fair play, personal improvement, and their own performance. So the 3 traditional reasons for playing sports are fun, fair play, and personal improvement and personal performance. Traditional. Nowadays that has changed. There's only focus on professionalism and winning at all costs. Moving on, specify the 2 steps the author recommends in paragraphs 4 and 5 to change or to challenge violence in sports. Let's take a look at paragraph 4. Coaches should be made more aware of the potential damage of aggression, okay? Not only for their team, but to the society as a whole. At each competitive level, a fair play code of conduct, so this is one thing that the author recommends, should be made compulsory. Compulsory means you have to do it, okay? It's not voluntary, it's compulsory, okay? In paragraph 5, the media, what the media is promoting violence according to the author. Okay, the focus should be on the skills shown and strategies used by athletes and coaches rather than on acts of aggression. Okay, so In paragraph 4, the author recommends that a fair play code of conduct be made a required factor in established and enforced guidelines for coaches. In paragraph 5, the author recommends that the media decrease its focus on aggression in sports and instead focus on more positive facets like skills. Okay? What does the expression winning at all costs in paragraph 2 mean? Obviously, the expression winning at all costs means that athletes and coaches focus so much on winning and not on anything else that they are willing to cheat and use physical violence to win. Nothing is off limits when it comes to winning. Okay? Especially with all those sponsors paying millions and millions of dollars for the team in order to win. So the major focus will be winning, whether you have to cheat or shove the other players or be violent or purposely foul that attacker and make him become injured. Okay, you will do that at all costs just to win. Now, provide an example of assertive behavior that falls within the rules. Assertive means, authority, a behavior of authority, but it's not violent. This should be in sports, but what are its examples? Some of its examples. One example could be the coach yelling at his players to act disciplined and play better, okay? Assertively talking to the players. You know what? Come sit on the bench, you're not behaving well. Come sit on the bench, you're not working as a team, you're not passing the ball. Another example is the referee speaking firmly to a player who is acting violent and maybe giving him a red card or sending him out of the field. Those are all assertive types of behavior, authority types of behavior, but of course they're not violent. They are within the rules and they are even encouraged in order to make the game more fair. Okay. Now, let's come to this chart here. Based on paragraph 3, fill in the chart with the possible negative outcomes of aggression in sports. What are the negative outcomes? They already said that aggression is necessary in order to win, although there is some proof that aggression can lead to winning. It has financial costs, okay? Because it costs injuries sometimes. If Ronaldo gets injured or Messi gets injured, how much does the team lose? A lot. First in order to treat him, and then it loses in sponsors, okay? Now this is one major negative effect, aggression in sports, and effect, this is one, financial costs because of injuries, okay? Athletes become frustrated and focused on causing harm. So no focus, athletes are not focused. Athletes do not perform well, okay? So let's take a look at the possible answers. Human cost, financial cost, human cost of injury, financial cost as a result of injuries, not concentrating on the task, weak performance by the players. You can choose any of those three, okay? The paragraph is in front of you. It's very easy to pick up the correct answer, but please remember to write in phrases and not complete sentences. Moving on to part C, correcting false statements. The following statements are all false because they misinterpret some of the information stated or implied in the passage. We write them correctly. In paragraph 1, the author mentions different types of sports whose rules allow the use of violence. No. Of course not. Only recently has research focused on cheating in sports as a result of too much focus. No, the research has been since the 1980s. It has been proven that winning cannot be accomplished without violence. On the contrary, all athletes and coaches at all levels encourage aggression. No, no. So number one, types of sports allow the use of violence. The author mentions those. No, in paragraph 1, the author mentions different types of sports whose rules and penalty systems attempt to stop or decrease violence. Research has focused on cheating in sports as a result of too much focus on beating and the other player since the 1980s, not recently. Winning may only sometimes be achieved through violence, only sometimes. Only some athletes and coaches encourage aggression, not all of them, of course not all of them. Many of them encourage good sportsmanship and are well-behaved people. Okay? Now, moving on. Extracts. The reading selection has 6 paragraphs. Each one of those extracts belongs to the end of one paragraph. After having written the main idea of each paragraph next to it, it's very easy to go back to that paragraph and see which one of those fits. Extract A. The coach is perhaps the most significant person influencing the amount of aggressive or sportsmanlike behaviors displayed in the competitive sports. Of course, this is the paragraph where they were talking about the coach being a major cause of violence or a major promoter of violence. Extract B. Young athletes will exhibit sportsmanship when the media understands the importance of their role. Of course, this one belongs to the paragraph where they were talking about the media as an element in promoting sports. So, extract A completes paragraph 4, complete sentence with a full stop, completes or fits. It's up to you. Extract B completes paragraph 5 with a full stop. Correct. Very easy. Now, let's move on to the vocabulary part. Read the text carefully to find the words that match with the following. Necessary, fundamental in paragraph 2. That one's easy. Possible or likely, paragraph 4. You need to go back, see which word fits it. Positive, constructive, paragraph 5. Aggressive or harmful. Okay, necessary, fundamental, essential, potential, favorable, hostile. Okay, after you go to each of those respective paragraphs, you will find this word easily. The paragraphs aren't very long. The wording is quite easy. Okay. Now, the antonyms. What are the antonyms of the following words? Negligible, they're found in paragraph 1. Negligible, okay. Voluntary, okay. If something is voluntary, I do it on my own accord if I want. If it's not, it's compulsory. I have to do it. Timid, meaning shy. What's the opposite of that? Let's see. Negligible, dominant. Okay, voluntary, compulsory, timid, assertive, all in the paragraphs. Okay, dominant, compulsory, the opposite of, voluntary. I'm doing it on my own accord. If I'm timid or I'm shy, the opposite of that is assertive. I assert my own opinion. I'm not shy. I'm not timid. Okay, so this is it for today's lesson. Please make sure you go through it very well after having listened to this PowerPoint, and we'll see you next time, and we'll discuss this further along with any questions which you might have.